Hello and welcome to the Pulse of Spokane. I'm your host, Ryan Meza, and I'm super excited to introduce my guest here with me today. I'm joined with the founder and CEO of Indaba Coffee, Bobby Enslow. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me in. Yeah.
Yes, of course. I'm super excited to interview you today. I just became such a big fan of Indaba Coffee. I'm sipping on a white pumpkin chai here. It tastes like a pumpkin pie, literally. It's amazing.
So good.
And you guys are just doing great things here in the Spokane community, starting Indaba back in 2009.
Yeah.
So 11 years coming, and already just seeing so much success and so much attention towards your company. So my first question for you is just the name of Indaba. If you look up the word Indaba in the dictionary, it's a conference or consultation between or with native people of South Africa,
Yeah.
or a gathering of leaders.
Yeah.
And I know your story, you kind of started off taking a trip down to South Africa.
Yeah.
How did that play a role into the name of Indaba?
Well, I spent some time in South Africa while I was in grad school and living there and working in like HIV/AIDS hospice care and just really experiencing that culture, experiencing the disparity between rich and poor. It was just really a paradigm shift in like my values and like what I want my life to kind of be about. And you're kind of, you're young and you're kind of coming out of college, like what am I going to do, but I'd always had the kind of that trajectory of like, get a good education, get a good job, do all these things.
Yeah.
And that just started to just seem kind of not as meaningful of like what is this deeper meaning and trajectory and calling that I felt. And my pastor at the time actually planted that seed of like, you should open a coffee shop in this poor neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. But then that summer I went and experienced South Africa, and really just that time there and experiencing their culture and the beauty of their culture. And just, it's a really long story, but that really kind of paradigm shift how I wanted to live my life and how I wanted to invest my life. And so when I was looking up a name, I was like, man, how cool would it be to tie that in?
Yeah, definitely.
And, so I just looked up I just did the same thing, Googled a ton
at,
of different words.
Looked up the words with the meaning behind it.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, Ubuntu and Bantu and Zulu.
Those are cool too.
And I was like, okay, some of those were kind of taken because they are kind of cool words for community and gathering. And Indaba wasn't taken. And it really just kind of refers to kind of a powwow, right? Gathering of leaders. In South Africa, they'll use it kind of more of a general sense of like, hey, let's have a meeting. Nelson Mandela would say, like, let's have an Indaba. Have that kind of important meeting. And so I was like, okay, and there's no Indaba coffee in the world. So I was like, this will work. And it just kind of is a constant reminder to me of that deeper meaning. And that season and time in my life that really kind of shifted my trajectory of how I wanted to invest my life.
Wow, that's awesome. And now you are the Indaba Coffee. You're the one and only.
We are the Indaba Coffee, yes.
And so you grew up in Spokane. You went to Northern Central High School and also went to Washington State University. And got your finance degree and MBA there.
Perfect. I went to WSU. And like I said, I kind of had that trajectory of like, go to business school. My dad owned a business in Pullman, and so I worked nights at my dad's business and to kind of pave my way through college. And then I helped start a couple fraternities while I was there. Then I went straight into grad school, and I was just really invested in that community as well. And kind of got that entrepreneurial bug, like starting fraternities, and so I guess that kind of like bled into me starting a business as well. It's just like I like being part of startups. I like creating something new that will hopefully be impactful in the community. And for me at that time, it was fraternities and Pi Kappa Phi fraternity and Delta Sigma Pi. And so creating those organizations to hopefully have a positive impact
in the
on
world,
people and community and things like that.
Definitely, So you are from Spokane, born and raised, and so just like from your trip from South Africa, you kind of came back to Spokane wanting to uplift the more invisible or not as popular communities here, or the ones that feel ignored.
The marginalized.
The marginalized communities here in Spokane. Exactly. So why did you pick the locations you did for Indaba? I know you have several.
Well, the first one obviously was the West Central location, and it really just came about through open doors. You know, we were just looking for a spot in West Central somewhere. The original location we wanted didn't work out, and then just doors just kind of opened up, and a nonprofit actually owns that building, Spokane Urban Ministries, and so it's actually a low-income, fixed-income housing building, and they didn't want just more lawyers. They wanted something life-giving, and so those values kind of lined up and creating a coffee space and a third space for people to kind of create community. And so that first location in West Central was kind of that first kind of calling to that. I never really imagined growing beyond that, honestly. And so when the opportunity to be like, wow, we could maybe open a second one, I just really just kind of searched around town everywhere. But I kept being led back to the heart of the city and just downtown. This idea of downtown. And, downtown Spokane, like growing up in Spokane, I've always seen it as kind of like I never really went down there. I always went to Northtown Mall and hung out there.
Exactly.
And I was just like, man, so there was always something about downtown that just wasn't quite, you know. And I saw that there was a trajectory in growth, especially after we finally got an Apple store. We were like, we made it, guys. We got an Apple store. You know, something's happening. You know, North Face and so you know, we saw a little bit of that shift. And so I was like, man, like I want to invest in the heart of the city. Because I really believe that, you know, if we can take care of the heart, like everything else can like hopefully kind of come out of that.
Definitely.
And so we opened up, I believe in 2015, our second location on Howard, which is just that small little spot in the Bennett block. And then I think it was either that year or the year or a few months later, Macy's closed.
Oh no!
So like right across the street.
Yeah, right.
And so I'm like, this is an amazing location. Okay, maybe this is not.
Now Macy's gone. Yeah.
And so it kind of was like a reboot of like what we did in West Central of just being in a tough location and having to just build it up from there.
Build that community from there.
Build a destination, build that community. And that happened, and we built amazing relationships out of that space and a brand and just, you know, reputation.
Yeah, definitely.
And in that time, we started roasting. We won a community service award.
Nice.
We started making networked connections into those other locations. And so then that's how, like, you know, we were able to build a relationship with Kendall Yards, and they helped us, you know, build out a roastery in Kendall Yards.
Yeah. And you're connected with Hello Sugar, correct?
Right. And so then we actually had that location, and my friend had the idea of Hello Sugar, Ramsey.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, hey, like, you guys should do a proof of concept in our space.
Yeah.
And they quickly took over the space because it just blew up.
Seriously. So popular. So awesome.
And so it's just been really cool to kind of pay it forward the same way that it was paid forward to me and having my first opportunity in location. And then being able to then move into the Riverside location downtown, which was just a relationship we built out of that Howard location. And someone purchased that building, and the building owner was a regular.
Oh, cool.
And he's just like, I think this building that we got would be perfect for a coffee shop. And he kind of gave me the key right away. And I'm like, I have a key to this multi-million-dollar building.
I love the look. I love the look in Riverside. It's amazing.
And yeah, we just wanted it to be really open, and we didn't minimize any type of changes in there so that we maintained that open atrium that was already in there.
Yeah.
And so
that's awesome.
We went through like multiple different like iterations of different designs and landed on that one just being super open.
Yeah.
And just inspired by so many great coffee shops when I designed that location, from coffee shops out of like Portland and Everett and Seattle that were just really big inspirations that I looked up to. And I was like, man, how amazing would it be to bring something like that to Spokane?
Yeah, definitely.
And so it was just really, I just feel very humbled and honored to be able to be a part of that project and creating something. And it's still very, very much like one of my favorite shops.
Yeah.
My heart will always be at Broadway.
Yeah, definitely.
I spent basically
the
first
started.
3 years open to close by myself working that shop. So it's like,
yeah,
you know, that's
home.
Where I spend
that's the
my
baby.
flight time there, you know, so.
Right.
Yeah.
I know, especially you mentioned earlier, it's the third space. The first space is work, the second space is home, and the third space is Indaba. And you kind of, or a coffee shop.
I mean, it was Starbucks that really did that, and then Starbucks even took that concept from someone else, and I can't remember his name.
Gotcha.
It was in our business plan, but you know, when Howard was like, hey, we want to create, you know, Howard Schultz was like, hey, we want to capitalize on this idea of a third space. And they really set the foundation for coffee shops.
Yeah.
And really, that's why we have like so many entrepreneurs, so many startups and mom and pop coffee shops. And the challenge has now been really like there's been a lot of growth in like the actual coffee, the specialty coffee side of it. There's so much more science even in the last 3 years. There's just so much more to learn and know, and that's another thing that I just love about coffee is that I'm still continuing to learn. I'm roasting a lot more hands-on now, and every day I'm learning something new about roasting, and how maybe I could be adjusting, the Maillard reaction here, or how am I developing it here, or if I want to I'm just trying to find that balance between acidity and sweetness. And,
the science behind it's so interesting. There's such a science behind coffee, and that I don't think people know much about. And
it's growing. I mean, when you look at the data, like, people, especially in COVID, like looking back, we're probably going to see this huge explosion in people's home consumers' knowledge of coffee, because there's more people making it at home. Just understanding temperature and time and ratio and grind setting and trying different brew methods and
the amount of grams that goes into your grind and stuff like that.
And that's been a lot of fun, and where we've been trying to move towards is trying to grow our online sales and e-commerce and
especially right now.
How do we extend that radical hospitality we talk about, love coffee, to this cyber world of people that we've never met.
Definitely.
We've gotten so many new customers from like the East Coast and the South and Midwest.
Awesome,
that we've never had before, as our coffees are being published on websites because they're scoring like 95, 93. And now all these people are like, I want to buy that coffee. It's like $30 a bag, but I want to buy it.
It's worth it. It scored so high.
I want to try something new, and so the challenge for us recently has been like, okay, how do we pivot, grow? And that's why we got that warehouse now. And so Indaba's growth in creating new locations has really just been very roll with the punches, very just being willing to pivot and adapt to the market,
to your setting and what's going on.
We started by using a roaster, then we started using multiple roasters, and then we started roasting our own.
Now you're just growing.
Grow more locations, and now we're like, we need an actual roastery space and a warehouse and an e-commerce system, and
definitely.
And so it's been fun to see like how our values of loving people and the marginalized and whatever, but like loving people, but then like figuring out how to adapt that within the business as well.
That's awesome.
Like this morning we shipped off a ton of coffees to people, and like every single box my manager went through and wrote a personal like handwritten note.
Wow, that's
you know
awesome.
what I mean?
Yeah,
like, it's
just that
like,
community aspect.
How do you create that level of like, hey, like we're this was packaged by a human being. You know what I mean?
It wasn't just like a machine. Like people like actually took the time to physically put it together for other people.
And because like I feel like social connectedness right now is like a huge struggle. So it's like
it is. We definitely need that human physical interaction.
Yeah.
And that's definitely kind of what you started Indaba for. You wanted to be a catalyst for future growth and development and relationships with people. Especially right now during COVID, you talked about having to pivot a little bit, having to adapt. How has that been for you guys during this time?
Honestly, we're incredibly lucky and blessed that we were able to get, assistance that we needed to keep people employed and have the hours that they need. And we had some systems, luckily, literally just put in place the year before for online ordering. It wasn't very active. And then all of a sudden it was really active. And so
like, okay, wait, I need my coffee.
Stress test pretty quick. But we were lucky we had that in place. And that allowed us to really be able to continue to serve our customers and also employ people. And so we didn't really have a lot of folks leave the company. If they did, it was for other reasons. We only had to shut down for 3 days at one point.
Oh, wow. Okay. Nice.
Out of the whole thing, we had one case of positive, and we were just completely transparent on Instagram and everything, and we posted all the schedules of the person working, and we shut down and cleaned and did the whole thing. And
definitely.
So I think just, we've been really lucky that we haven't had an abundance of those issues, and we've been able to maintain. Obviously, we restricted hours, and our sales are significantly down, but I think we're making it, and we're going to make it through this season thriving, like I was saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Not just surviving. So
not just surviving, thriving and surviving.
Yeah. And my biggest goal, like, for our team and constantly motivating our team is that we have an amazing opportunity and responsibility to be a positive influence on our community, because a lot of folks, especially early on, we were the only human interaction they had.
Yeah.
And so
100%.
it's like, man, like, let's make that an amazing experience for them, you know, and just love on people. And it's like, it's tough because we're going through our own stuff. And so, you know, it really takes us banding together and encouraging each other to be like, like, you know, let's love on our customers as best we can.
No, definitely.
And hopefully that's paid forward. Hopefully that's rippling out.
Yeah,
and creating
seriously.
a better city and a better, you know, there's just so much negativity out there that we're just trying to do our best to be, to not feed into that, but to feed into positivity.
And be a positive experience. No, I definitely hear that. When I was in line getting my drink this morning, the person in front of me, they're like, the baristas were like, "Hi, how are you doing today?" And he was just like, "I'm okay." Like, "Okay, why just okay?" And they like had that like interaction, that conversation with them, like, "Why are you just okay?" Because I feel like it's always that natural surface level, like, "Hi, how are you?" "Good, how are you?" "Good," and that was it.
Yeah.
But she actually like took the time to like have that positive interaction with the customer.
Right.
And I thought that was super cool. That was like one thing that like really stood out to me when I was in there today.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I mean,
know, right? And then
that's
she's
what
like,
we truly value.
Yeah, and she's like, "Well, we're gonna make it better," and like got his drink for him and everything, and like continued the conversation. But you guys are definitely building such great community here in Spokane. Throughout these times of COVID that are very unprecedented. I think you guys are doing a great job.
Thank you.
And I wanted to talk to you about your guys' little motto.
Yeah.
Love people, love coffee.
Right.
What was the meaning behind that motto, and what do you guys want people to take away from that?
Well, I mean, I think one of the big things is that people's first on that. And so I think at the end of the day, people are first, you know, and being a good neighbor, and being a good person and loving on people, that's really what we want to be known for at the end of the day. That's what I personally want to be known for, is like, how well did Bobby love his neighbor, love people, and coffee is in a lot of ways our passion, but it's a lot of ways our tool, or a way that we're able to kind of use that to get people together, so that we can then facilitate that. But really, that's what we're about, is radical hospitality. We really believe that, you know, sitting down and having a cup of coffee with somebody and having a good dialogue, you know. Indaba over the years has been an amazing space. We used to host coffee talks where we'd have dialogues between opposing sides, and
nice.
you know, and then obviously just in general, people just gather and they meet and they talk about issues.
Most definitely.
But it's really important to us that we create a space where people feel safe to have that dialogue and to be themselves, and know that even if we disagree on things, that Indaba is a place that you are welcome to be, you know, and we've really seen that over the years. It's a huge challenge, you know, like especially in a divided world. But we've seen our cafes be places where people of all walks of life like walk in, from homeless, transient, to lawyers, to judges, to politicians.
Exactly.
You know, and we've seen them come through our doors, and they're just a fellow human being, you know. And I think we just need to get back down to the nitty gritty of what really matters, and that's loving our neighbor and loving each other. And regardless of if we disagree. And I think what's interesting is that, you know, we can disagree on a lot of things, but I think there's a lot more in common. And I think just a lot of our focus is on the things that we disagree on. Rather than getting to the underlying roots of, like, we actually have a lot of things in common. And sometimes it's just a matter of disagreeing on how to go about doing that. You know, we were just talking earlier about, like, we've made a lot of mistakes as humans, even though we're good intentions. Like, we go into even third world countries, and with good intentions, we want to help these countries. And looking back, we've learned that we've actually caused a lot of damage in the way that we've helped people. You know? And so we're going to make mistakes, And so at the end of the day, we have to love each other and show each other grace.
Yeah.
And then be like, okay, now we're going to move forward. Like,
exactly.
how do we move forward?
Together.
Absolutely.
That's
we're stronger
awesome,
together, man.
Yeah, we are, definitely.
Absolutely.
That's awesome, Bobby. I love that. That's very inspiring. And
thanks.
That's definitely a perspective I didn't really like take on how much we have in common, really. We just really do focus on the disagreements.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today, Bobby. It was a pleasure getting to talk to you and hear your story. And I'm wishing the best of luck to you guys during your time with COVID and all that.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's all the time we have today here on the Pulse of Spokane. I'm your host, Ryan Meza. Love people, love coffee.
This is Bloomsday in Spokane. We got about 40 firefighters and their friends and family handing out 40,000 cups of water as the day goes by.
It's a very good opportunity to see the public and support them and help them out and cheer them on during Bloomsday.
It's one of the best things about Spokane is that we have these major events and the whole community comes together not just to participate but to volunteer and show that they really care about our city and making our city look great.
This type of an event really is emblematic of Spokane because so many people get involved. We have 50,000 people probably running this race. Always has been a very huge event.
Right now we're at the corner of Broadway and Nettleton. It's the last water station before the finish, so people are pretty much dehydrated by the time they get to us. They really need our water.
The water stations are a vital part, especially on warm days like today. It's real important that we have the volunteers to help with that. Without the volunteers, Bloomsday wouldn't exist.
All up and down the course, there are people that are involved in this celebration. It really is a celebration of what Spokane's all about.
Welcome to Apex Plaza, Spokane's one-stop cannabis destination. Apex Cannabis features thousands of economy, value, and luxury cannabis products. Cannagear features hemp-based CBD products, glass, goods, and gear. Stop by 1325 North Division to experience the Apex difference.
This product has intoxicating effects and may be habit-forming. Marijuana can impair concentration, coordination, and judgment. Do not operate a vehicle or machinery under the influence of this drug. There may be health risk associated with the consumption of this product. For use only by adults 21 and older. Keep out of the reach of children.
The economy is getting stronger, banks are lending again, and interest rates are at historic lows. Now is a great time to buy your dream home. The caring and knowledgeable professionals at Homes for You have been helping people just like you for over 20 years. They take the time to listen to what you want and will help you find just the right home in Washington or Idaho. Real estate is what we do at Homes for You, 928-5782, or visit online at homes4uspokane.com.
Thanks for watching. Ask the host a question, recommend a guest, or check out any of our other programs on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or SpokaneTalksMedia.com. Sponsored by Local 29 Firefighters Union, Well Dressed Walrus, and Homes for You.